So a security token is representation of traditional securities, like they can be stocks, bond, or other securities on blockchain. And I'm just gonna quickly show as a smart contract how it's done.
As you can see here, you can check out several startups, and as soon as they're live, you can invest in them, and then you can also buy and sell whenever you want.
Hi everyone, we are Francesco and Merens from the Crypto Valley in Switzerland, and today we will tell you what is a security token and what does it mean for the future of investing. As always, we'll start with a short clip showing you what the CEO of BlackRock has to say about security tokens and tokenization.
I believe the next generation for markets, the next generation for securities will be tokenization of securities. And if we can have that distributed ledger that we know every beneficial owner, every beneficial seller, we all have our code of who's buying, who's selling, instantaneous settlement. And think about it, it changes the whole ecosystem.
We just saw in the video that the CEO of BlackRock, so the worldwide largest asset manager with over 9 trillion in asset under management, said that the future of financial market is going to be tokenization, so security tokens. And maybe it would be interesting for the audience to hear from you, what is a security token?
So a security token is representation of traditional securities, like they can be stocks, bond, or other securities on blockchain. Here we can see a definition that has been written in Wikipedia. And exactly, these are digital assets which are traditional assets which are represented on blockchain. So there is an important distinction that with utility token. Normally we are used to hear about utility token, Ethereum, Bitcoin, but these are not securities. And this is an important distinction, that security tokens are the representation, while utility tokens are designed to be governance token. They have designed, but they don't give you ownership into any protocol. They have no legal rights attached. On the other side, security token have all the legal right attached, like we can see here. So they are subject to federal law and regulations. For instance, they are regulated by the SEC in case we are in America. In Switzerland, it's the FINMA. And investor, if they own these security tokens, they have all the protection. They have the legal backing. They receive dividends. They can vote on. They can make company decision, and of course they can sell and decide what to do with this token. I think it's interesting also to quickly look into the FINMA, which is the financial regulator in Switzerland. They were the first one to provide a regulated framework and identify the different kind of tokens. So the FINMA has identified 3 types of tokens, as we see here. So there are the payment tokens, which are mostly related to stablecoin and payment digital money. The other one is utility tokens. We know Ethereum, BNB, Bitcoin, all the crypto that we know. And third, asset token. So that's how they refer to security token. And as we can read here, they represent assets as participation in real physical underlying companies or earning streams, or an entitlement to dividends or interest payments. So everything that represents a traditional security or traditional asset is now an asset token. It can be digitized.
So if I understand you correctly, so there are different kinds of tokens, and that we have a classification of a Swiss regulator which says, like, you have payment, utility tokens, and asset tokens.
Exactly.
And on a technical level, they are all exactly the same or very similar.
Right.
But the difference is, with a security token, you have actually a right attached to it, instead of like a utility token, which doesn't give you like a real world asset, like a right.
It doesn't exactly. It doesn't give you any ownership into a company or anything. It doesn't have real attachment with the legal part.
So after we saw like what a security token is, maybe it would be interesting for the audience to hear how are they actually created. How can you create a security token today?
I think it's really interesting because we often hear about exactly tokens in general, but like how do we actually create one? So actually here we can take a look. There is the CMTA. So in Switzerland it's very common, the CMTA standard, which is a standard created already around 2018, 2017, created by a group of lawyers. And actually this is the framework to enable tokenization of equity, debt security in compliance with the Swiss law. So here there is a full report that everyone can have access. I invite you to download it and we will put it in the description in case someone is interested into it. And what we can read here are the functionality. So what is important are the functionality that are embedded into this smart contract. So when you create a security token, you have to specify a couple of things. So the total supply, how many tokens you want to create. So you want to tokenize a company of the shares, so you need to specify what's the amount. There are some function which allows the transfer of this token, on which you can put, of course, restriction. And the burn function is really important. It's basically if you at some point you want to, there are some drag along rights that or the company sold, you need to burn these tokens. Actually, it can be done. So those are and there is also a kill switch function, which is a self-destruction of the contract and of the token in case it's necessary. So these are some functions which are embedded in the smart contract, which are quite different from traditional ERC20 tokens. So this is an ERC20 tokens and have these functions which are a bit different from what is a normal ERC20 token for a cryptocurrency. These are the important part, and I'm just gonna quickly show as a smart contract how it's done. We're not gonna go into the details, but I think it's interesting to take a look and see how this is done on a technical level.
So it's a standard smart contract with some adaptations, but basically as an ERC20
It's
token.
an ERC20 token with some adaptation.
So it's not like rocket science actually between, if we compare the two, like utility token.
It's very similar.
It's very similar?
It's very, very, very similar.
But what is then the big difference, like in your eyes?
The big difference is the legal backing that these tokens have. They give you all the rights of owning any securities.
And why does it matter, like for people, for investors? Why should they care about it?
It matters a lot because let's say that you bought a token or security token, which is a representation of a company share. Well, in case this company goes bust and there is a bankruptcy proceeding, well, you can go into court and actually have have the proceeding of the bankruptcy. Or if they're committing fraud, you can sue them and you can go into a court, and this will have legal consequences for them. On the other side, with a utility token, this doesn't happen.
Yeah, also like with a security token, you also have like rights on profit. I mean, this was the worst case, but in a good case scenario, you also have you have rights. You are entitled, so you have rights. You can go before court. So it's really like investment protection.
Exactly, it's really done for investment protection. Exactly as you mentioned, is really the investment protection side, which is unique here. Now we look into what is a security token, how we create one, what is the difference between a security token and a utility token. Let's look at the benefits and the advantages of security tokens.
So if you compare the utility token, we already mentioned it, it's really that you have clear legal rights, and this matters a lot for investors. Then if you compare with traditional securities, we first need to look like how are they created as of today. And today they're created as papers. So like if you invest in a company, you receive a share, which is actually a physical paper, like in most cases.
Right.
And now we have this new system, which is tokenization, where everything is on-chain. And there you have some huge advantages, I would argue. So the first one, and probably the biggest one, is blockchain makes it super easy to transfer it. Because imagine like today, you are now, let's say in the US, and I'm in Switzerland, and I want to sell you my share. So I need to send you like the physical paper, and then you transfer it back the money to me. And I mean, this takes for ages.
So even today, I have to actually send physical papers.
Yeah, I mean, you can do it with FedEx or whatever, but it takes
but it takes forever.
It takes forever, and even a bank transfer, it's super costly, it's risky, and so on. So this one is the biggest advantage, that blockchain makes it just very easy to sell it. And also you have some more innovation to make it even more easy for investors to trade whenever they want. Like for instance, Uniswap. We already did a video about it. Maybe check it out.
So the big innovation is the transfer of ownership is very streamlined.
That's one big advantage. Very closely connected with it is like also transparency. because I always know, like, I'm the owner of token, so therefore I'm the owner of that share. And as of today, I mean, these papers, they got lost and so on, so it's a big mess in practice. When I was working as a lawyer, this was always a big problem, because you never knew actually, like, who owns a share.
Exactly.
I mean, this one was really one of the biggest disadvantages. And then the third one is the automation, because as we already discussed, you can do it very quickly, everything is on-chain, no human intervention, very fast. So these are like the three big advantages of security tokens compared to traditional securities.
That's great. I would love to see some real-world example of how it actually looks in practice, now that we all know what are the big advantages of this.
Yeah, it's great, because I mean the technology is there since considerable amount of time, so let's see what has been done with the technology.
Yeah.
And first I want to bring you the example of real estate investing. So what we can see here is a hotel which is in Aspen, and they tokenized the real estate basically.
Right.
So they had a REIT, and they allowed everyone to, they tokenized it, and people could buy it and invest directly in that hotel. And they did it together with Templum Markets, which is a broker where you can also trade. So it's like an alternative asset trading system. And with Indiegogo, that's a crowd investing platform. But so this was in 2019, and people could already invest in real estate on-chain, which was just a security token. But still, I mean, the problem was, because it was that early, people needed, the minimum ticket size was still quite high, so it was 10,000 Swiss francs.
Right.
And then you could also not trade it, so it was very restricted.
Right.
So, but move a little bit forward, and we see here is a new platform which does the same, but at scale. So this is like real team, and here the vision was from the beginning that people can invest with $50 into real estate. And we can take a look at an example here. This was sold like in recently, and people could invest here with $50. And everything is on chain, you can check it out, and so you can invest and you can also trade. And here is an example where you can trade it. I mean, as you can see, there's not a lot of volume there, but still you can sell whenever you want. And also what you can see here, maybe it's interesting for the audience, so you have clear legal rights, that's true, but also sometimes you have other disadvantages. So for instance, this house where people invested can there was a fire then, and like everyone was getting nervous and so on, whether it's insured and so on, and so people started selling it, because that's a real world asset, and it depends, the performance of the token really depends whether this house is good or not. But then we have other asset classes, and for instance, shares. So if you want to invest in a company, then you buy shares. It's an equity investment. And here we have an example of Switzerland. We know it. So it's called Liti Capital. And what they do is they do litigation financing, so that people can basically benefit if someone wins a case before court. And they started doing that in 2021, where they raised it. It was on Ethereum, and people could buy here tokens and invest directly into that company, and also sell it on Uniswap. So this was highly successful. So they raised. We recently talked with them. They raised like
substantial amount,
29 million, I think. So and people could for the first time invest in that asset class.
Yeah, and really like here the innovation was exactly people could buy and literally sell straight away if they want it, and they can buy on the secondary market. So it's really amazing.
It's amazing because of today. I mean, you cannot just sell it. So this is like one of the advantages which you talked about is liquidity, and here you can trade whenever you want.
Yeah.
And now finally, also what we are doing is something very similar. We recently launched our platform today actually, and where we do the same for channel startups. And as you can see here, you can check out several startups, and as soon as they're live, you can invest in them, and then you can also buy and sell whenever you want. So that's the same thing with tokenizing company. That's another example. Okay, now we saw some, what is a security token, what are the benefits, how are they tokenized, and we saw some real world examples. But still, I mean, that's a very niche. Why is this not happening? I mean, Larry Fink is telling like this is going to be the next big thing, but still, this is a niche. Why doesn't it happen?
So one of the main issues is the regulation across the countries is very fragmented and is not unified or harmonized. So every country has its own regulation. Some of them, most of them, they don't even have regulation and framework in place for digital assets and security tokens. Switzerland was the first. Now other countries are slowly creating their legal framework, but this is the main problem.
Yeah, I agree with you, because the thing is, in order to create security token, you need a law.
Yeah.
And you need a law which
Exactly.
exactly states like you can actually tokenize it. And I mean, Switzerland is one of the very few places which have such a law in place.
Right.
And unless other countries are creating this one, this is not going to happen.
Exactly.
But also we see some progress now. For instance, Germany has now recently created
Exactly.
one, and we see it slowly happening. But still, it's going to be take some time.
It's going to take some time, even because people needs to get used to it. You know, even if tomorrow a country implement a new regulation, still people will need to digest these new things, this new technology, this new regulation. People will need time to adapt it. We hope you enjoyed the video and you learned something about security token and why they are so important and for the future of investing. So if you like the video, make sure to follow, put a like, and write in the comment what you like and what you would like to see in the next videos. Thanks a lot.